What do you do when life happens? Have you ever felt alone? Have you ever felt rejected? Have you walked in shame? Have you held it all in and felt like the walls were closing in? Me too. Well, you're definitely in the right place. We're going to walk together. We're going to cry together. And we're going to grow together. This is a safe space to process the feelings, to open our eyes to see the glory of God and the manifestation of his promises fulfilled. We're going to talk about places that hope has been deferred, the waiting feels endless, and the pain is unimaginable. But the one thing that we will not forget in this space is the grace of God. Do you feel like you don't fit in? Yeah, me too. What if everything in life that has happened to you has led up to this moment? What if every bit of pruning, what if every bit of pressing was to step you into the future God has ordained for you? We're going to go on a little journey today and just talk about a brief recap of my life. Now, some things happened to me that were out of control. We're going to hit on generational curses, bloodline curses. These things I have no control over. But I, Elizabeth Everett, take full responsibility for the choices and decisions that I've made over time. But I also give God the glory for the restoration and the redemption and the chance to sit in this space with you every week and walk through this life together. I'm Elizabeth Everett, and this is the first episode of Grace in the Breaking. When life happens, it can either define you or it can refine you. So which are you going to choose? Are you going to let the pain crush you to no end? Or are you going to step up and realize that you're not defined by what other people say about you? You're not defined about situations that might have marked your past. You're not defined about any decision that you've made. Nothing that you've done, no decision, no mistake, no arrest record, no past at all is going to stop you from surrendering to the Father and walking in the light of his love. When life happens, there's 3 little words we're going to live by around here: stop, drop, and pray. These words can change in an instant. Any thought, any situation, literally bust up that trajectory. So, if you're ready to go on a journey of healing, if you're ready to have a community that's going to love you no matter what, that's going to support you, that's going to root for you, that's going to pray with you in the dark depths, here I am. This podcast is not about things that I couldn't control in my life. These are about the things that I survived, not in my own strength, but by the grace of God. Even in the darkest moments and the things I'm going to share, I'm not proud of the past. And I'll tell you, for many years, I walked in shame. I walked in disgrace with myself, to the point that when I moved away from the small town that had labeled me as the black sheep, my family had given up on me. Let's face it, I'm still known in some circles as the black sheep. I walked trying to please everybody. I had a spirit of rejection on me that caused me to repeat cycles over and over and over. And honestly, up until a couple of months ago, I had no idea why these cycles continued to repeat. But again, each day is a growth and a learning experience. Each day, we have the choice to put one foot in front of the other, because if we wake up, that's God's grace. So I give him all the glory for what I'm about to share. What we discuss here may have some tears shed. We may have shouts of joy. But at the end of the day, this is my story. It's not about anybody else in it. This is about my refining, my shaping, and how God changed my life. Where he met me, where he redeemed me, and how he literally took my ratchet life and turned it into one of a righteous one. Me standing before you today is the final surrender. For many years, he had talked to me about writing some books or starting a podcast or simply sharing my story. But I was covered in so much shame and so much guilt that I didn't want anybody to know. The few people that I loved, that I trusted, that I had put on pedestals as an idol, which I now can see as God opened my eyes. The enemy uses everything if you allow him. He will plant seeds that make you wonder if you're walking in the right direction, or he knows the exact seeds to plant to keep an armored wall up around you. Because guess what? Before the Father formed you in the womb, he knew you. He knew everything that you would go through, and he knew the anointing that he placed on your life. So today, at 46 years old, I'm about to tell it all. Every bit that refined me, that shook me to the core, and where he met me. I didn't really grow up in church. I didn't grow up in a happy white picket fence family. I came from total dysfunction. From an early age on, I learned to keep secrets. I learned that shameful events were not discussed. I was told to keep emotions in. It was a repetitive cycle that I was learning so young that I didn't know could scar me for the rest of my life. When I talk about dysfunction, I love my family and I love my parents. I don't know if that age they really realized the circumstances or life was happening to them. I knew they weren't walking with Jesus. That wasn't something we discussed in my home. Actually, the only person that talked about Jesus was my great grandmother. She tried her best, but let's face it, I was a wild child. I was an only child for many, many years. When I tell you about dysfunction that I thought was normal, I came from a home of addiction. I came from a home of adultery, and I came from a home that I had sexual trauma in. That was not from my parents. When you're experiencing so many things at a young age, you believe that secrets are safe. That's something that a family's supposed to do. When you come from a high profile family in a little bitty town that everyone thinks is perfect or puts on a pedestal, again, it's an ideological revelation that is not the truth. It's a myth. No one lives in a glass house. No one's family is perfect. And no one has a white picket fence. So I want you to keep an open mind when you hear the next things out of my mouth. To me, kind of sounds like a movie. And when I sit down and actually write out the things that I've pushed so far down in me, sometimes it takes my breath, but that's okay. So I just pray over these next words that they might resonate with you, that they might give you a ray of hope. Not today, as we're not going to dive deep into them, but as we get into other episodes, we're going to discuss the pressing and then where God meets us. Because I'm here for you, family. This is the real, raw, unedited truth. This is my story. So, yeah, when I say literally my life has gone from ratchet to righteous, I have the t shirt, the ball cap, and the blue ribbon to go along with it. Nothing was easy. Um, I had sexual trauma that occurred when I was in the fifth grade from a neighbor. I, again, lived in a house of adultery where secrets were going on. Everybody knew in the town what was going on, but nobody spoke up. I was labeled as that child. These weren't things that were my fault. There was no loving, sit down, have a family meal together. There was no going to church. None of that. It's a lonely place. At 14, I was sexually assaulted and given hardcore drugs by a friend of the family. 16, the cycle happened again with another upstanding member of society. But this time, the shame, the pain, the guilt of it all had started to crack me. To cover the pain, I was using hardcore drugs regularly. Not drugs with friends my age, but with adults in their 40s plus. This wasn't normal. And for a long time, I thought I deserved it. And when other adults found out, they didn't come to my rescue, but they shoved it way down. Maybe it was hard for them to believe. But to me, as a teenager, as someone that was learning how to cope with life in general, for a long time, I blamed myself. I thought, well, there's something wrong with me. The family thinks I'm a black sheep. I'm rejected. They think I'm bad. So then my actions multiplied. Now, again, I'm not telling you any thought process that I had was congruent or true. Just looking back, I can see where the spiral had begun. It had pretty much come to the point where I was starting to build walls that I only cared about protecting me. I started running wild. I left home at 17, as soon as I turned 17, and moved in with my older boyfriend's mother. So I've been on my own technically since August of my senior year. This turned into a more repetitive cycle of drugs because I craved love and attention from places that were not healthy. And guess what? I was choosing places that I could hide my pain with drug use. So by age 17, I was on cocaine, crack, LSD, meth, you name the kitchen sink, and probably this body was consuming it. Unbelievable, right? There are so many times that I should have died. Let's fast forward to a marriage as soon as I turn 18, because again, I'm looking for stability. I'm looking for acceptance. What I see now were repetitive cycles that followed me for so many years. But I'm here standing today again because there was a God that I didn't even know that was with me every step of the way. I've run with Puerto Rican mafia. I had my husband, number one, try to kill me with a knife, and I escape out a window. To come home and go up north and get into the rave scene. To starting to be a stripper up in Wisconsin. To running with the Hells Angels. To ODing and being a candy kid, ringing in Y2K, to coming back, wanting the pain to stop, reconnecting with a friend from childhood. Guess what? Drug use. getting pregnant with my first son, marrying his father, having another son, again, repetitive cycles, rejection, fear, and addiction consumed every side. To cheating on that husband, marrying husband number 3, and having a wonderful son. Feeling a call from something that I couldn't understand, like these little voices in my head trying to get me to live in a way of righteousness, but I didn't understand it. I didn't want it because I had these walls I had built up. These walls that I don't need your help. I can do this on my own. Only to realize I never could. So have you felt that way? Do you see cycles in your life as we're talking about it? If you do, we'll get into this later on. We'll talk about overcoming. Well, that husband that I cheated on to marry another, guess what? Only to be met with heartbreak. He cheated on me with my best friend. Some may say you had it coming. You may be right. God only knows. So after that divorce, an unhealed version of me gets on a dating site. Haha, imagine that. I mean, this was when the dating sites first began. And I met this guy who I spent the longest amount of time with. Well, an unhealed version jumping into something for love and acceptance will rip your heart apart. There's so many things that I experienced in the last decade of my life. And you know what? I don't regret a single moment in time. I am forever grateful for that part of my story because not only did it bring me to my lowest, it helped me find Jesus. And without the following experiences, I wouldn't have met him. So early on into the marriage, there were some difficult issues. We were pregnant with a daughter, and we lost her abruptly. Something in me broke. It shifted. It got dark. My mind went to a place that I'd never experienced before. No amount of darkness, nothing compared to what came over me. Looking back, that rejection, that loss, that python spirit had come upon me, and things that I hadn't done in years came flooding back. Those places of wanting to numb. Listen, I'm human. I'm not justifying my actions. I should have been stronger. But you know what? I wasn't. And darkness overcame me. Darkness overcame my marriage. While we were intoxicated that first night when I was in a dark place, I shared some things with husband number 4, and I'll never forget those words resonating. I can't believe you didn't tell me these things before we got married. I still remember those words. Words cut. Words run deep. And for the longest time, I let that live right in the back of my mind. So as I let it fester, it grew like something with long arms and tentacles. It wasn't healthy. But we're coming to the story of redemption. After that happened, I decided that I was going to create a life and a future to which no one knew me. I'd started working in corporate. I put myself through school and paid for it just to show everybody they could kiss my little booty because I could make something out of myself. And within a corporate job and deciding to be the absolute best, I put everything aside. I worked 24/7. I didn't say I was nice. And in the beginning, it caused me to have the hardest heart. The more money we made, that bank account became an idol. The aesthetics industry was crushing me and I didn't even know it. Have you felt like you've reached a pinnacle in your life where you've worked so hard for something, you've been the best, had the most success, but you're dying inside? You're in the right place. We'll talk about that too. So, as my alter ego overtook everything, I mean, the big house, the big bank account, the nice cars, the kids had everything because I wanted them to have everything that I didn't have in life. My kids aren't perfect. I will never put them on a pedestal. They've made mistakes. But at the end of the day, I've never rejected them. If they feel like that, I openly say to them today, I'm sorry. That was never my intention. But I love hard. And when I met God, my husband, number 4, had left for the second time. I met God when the kids weren't out in the house and I was completely planning to blow my brains out. It was then and there that I heard his voice. I didn't know what it was. It shocked me. And next thing I know, I'm writing emails to people at 3:00 in the morning that I'd hurt with my hardened heart and my mean words. It's in those next couple of days that he revealed everything to me. He was my rock. He never left me. And he showed up in just the nick of time. Something in me changed when I found him. Something in me started pulling me towards a place that wasn't chaotic. Now listen, stepping in and following Jesus, nobody said it's going to be easy. The devil's going to tempt you in every way possible to deter you from that path because he doesn't want you to walk in peace or a righteous life. Again, I am not perfect. I don't claim to be. I don't claim to have always made the right decisions or had the right heart posture in all that I've done. But each and every day is a new day to become a daughter that he is proud of, to be a better person and to have a better heart. We'll talk about fasting here. We'll talk about tears. But most importantly, I will remind you of his unfailing love. Husband 4 and I tried to repair things. But the closer that I came to God, the further we were apart. Things that I used to find joy in before, I couldn't stand to be around. God had told me to stop drinking. And just like that, I did. Now, don't get me wrong, I fell down a couple of times. But something I'm going to tell you, no matter how much you love someone, no matter how much you try, no matter how much they see you change, if the house is divided, it will not stand. It has no firm foundation. It's taken me a long time to see that. If you're not equally yoked, the Bible is right. There's nothing that you can do. And again, I am so forever grateful for the learning experience and finding Jesus in the midst of the mess that I had made. 2024 crushed me, it broke me, it pressed me, it stretched me beyond limits that I can't even explain, but God. My story is a story of redemption, of courage through God. When I was weak, he made me strong. I lost everything that I thought I needed. But friends, what are you at risk of losing today? Do you have a marriage on the rocks? Do you have a prodigal that has strayed far away? Do you have a dysfunctional family that you can't stand to be around? This next topic is a place for healing. This is a safe space, and it's conducive to the heart posture of loving a God and activating our senses to hear him. In a matter of like 90 days, no kidding. I know this all sounds a little far-fetched, but trust me, this is my life. I've left out several parts because we'll share those at a different time and a different place. But in 90 days, my health went under attack. My marriage abruptly ended. I was in a wreck that left me shattered. My best friends, they were nowhere to be found. Now, you know what? I was grieving. And the enemy kept telling me I was too much, but that's a lie. So let me go back and tell you, there is nothing that you've done. There are no emotions that are too high when you're grieving that God doesn't understand. Jesus flipped tables. He got angry. It's how we can control those emotions. That's how we overcome. That's how we start healing. There I was, left face down, lying on the ground, crying out to God. And he met me in every soft space. So here we are today, talking about grace. My son was wrapped in addiction. We'd been battling this for so many years. Then I get the call that he had OD'd. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about friends that God put into my life with deliverance ministry. We'll talk about the radical deliverance and answered prayers of God over my son and his walk with Jesus. We'll talk about a family in shambles brought closer together than ever through the blood. So friends, this is the beginning of a great story, the beginning of a great community, and a safe space to grow together. This is Grace in the Breaking. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today on Grace in the Breaking. If this episode spoke to your heart, please remember to follow, download, and share it with someone who might need a little encouragement right now. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. As I close, I want to leave you with this reminder, 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. So no matter what season you're walking through, you are not alone. And there is always grace in the breaking. For more information, resources, or to connect with me, visit graceinthebreaking.com or email me at info@graceinthebreaking.com. Until next time, friends, stay rooted in faith, hold on to hope, and remember that there is grace in the breaking.